Hey guys, you're watching Vol. Thanks for checking out another video. We're going to be continuing with our investigation of table layouts, and we're going to be focusing and thinking about how much scenery to use in a game of Infinity and how it affects the game. This is a topic which comes up repetitively. But as you might have seen in the last battle report I made, there's been a thread recently about warbands, and some people saying that, hey, warbands are a problem if your table is too dense. They're probably not going to be as much of a problem if your table is very sparse. We also have some people saying that suppression fire is the cure for warbands, and that's something which I sometimes think about and find myself surprised by, because that's not really been my experience. But what I'm trying to do is just gather a bit more data and trying to analyze specific parts of games where I'm not having that experience, where perhaps I should be, and hopefully we can learn something from that. What you can see here, if I move my camera out of the way, is the rulebook for Infinity, where I'm on the PDF, page 188 and 187 actually, and it's got Corvus Belli's suggestion or example about how you might set up a terrain table. Let's look at the bottom picture here, where it's a bit more detailed, where you've got some really large, proportional to the actual 4x4, you've got some really large pieces. And notice that they're quite tall, and both deployment zones actually have buildings overlooking large sections of the table. So what I decided to do is, for my next game, I thought I'd set up a table that looks as close to that as possible in terms of size of objects. So if I move my camera out of the way, let's have a look at this. Obviously it's on the standard 4x4 mat. You can see down the left here there's some dice. In fact, I'll get out my draw tool since I'm having so much fun with that these days. So we'll just grab this white chalk here. So the deployment zones obviously going to be a quarter of the way through, and they're going to be around about where these orange dice are. So if I just run a white line through this, I think that this is around about where I can deploy troops. In fact, I remember from the game itself that I had some guys even further up than that, so the deployment zone is actually about here. So this means that you can put troops on top of these buildings and set up arrow pieces, and note that there are some really big fire lanes here as well. So the other deployment zones sort of around this side, right? So yeah, I mean, what do you think? Is this table setup better than some of the denser terrain tables that I use? Do you prefer playing on this density of terrain? I don't mind. My favorite kind of table to play on is just simply one that my opponent is happy with. Here's a look from the side. So as you can see, massive long fire lanes with nothing blocking here and here. Is that what we get out of our PDF though, looking at this? Not really. I think Corvus Belli have actually, I mean, they haven't got a blocking on the back of the deployment zone, but through the middle, they are blocking it horizontally. So maybe that's something we didn't get quite right. So that's how this looks. Going to the third picture, this is the other side of the table, and this is meant to be the weaker deployment zone. Although having said that, I mean, this big yellow building here gives tons of room for you to put guys on the stairs, prone on top of the building, prone. You can have ARO pieces at the top here, and also these boxes here give you plenty of cover for remotes or even a tag behind this and other troopers, especially prone on top of the rooftops. So I think for deploying it's really comfortable, but the idea is that moving across the table, surely you're going to get shot by something. The big piece in the center limits that a bit, so you can actually work your way around it like a pivot, but that's generally how it goes. Just going to close this folder, and I'll go into my Infinity folder here, and I'll try and find a game where I'm playing on fairly dense terrain. Let's look at something from a while back. Let's open this picture here. So here's another terrain layout which is probably a bit more typical of what I use. There are still some pretty big fire lanes, but the fire lanes are blocked off a bit more, and the deployment zones themselves don't really have access to the height advantage. You have to actually leave your deployment zone and go on top of these buildings to get the height advantage. So this is generally the setup that I've been working with. Maybe I can find something a bit more recent. So I think the folders are done in terms of last modified. So let's have a look at what I've done most recently. Kodali versus Corregidor. I've been making some fairly sparse tables recently. What about over here? We'll grab this one. So here's another table having been set up by me. So notice that this table seems to have a bit more in the terms of terrain. Maybe there's not really an overview look at it. We'll try another one. Let's go tic-tac-toe. This has got a pretty big overview. So here's another look. As you can see, I'm typically putting lots of smaller parts a little bit more clumped together. I'm leaving some fire lanes, but generally, if you haven't got anything on a height advantage, the warbands are going to stream through here. This deployment zone doesn't really have much except for maybe this black box here for putting higher up arrow pieces. So yeah, I actually like the idea of trying out some more sparse layouts because my particular meta aren't very familiar with that. But let's get into the game. So I'm playing WuMing again, just the same list as I had in the last bat rep. Here's the left-hand side of the field. So I've got Group 2's Guangxi with the control device at the top. In the middle, you can see at the back, I've got the Zhanying with the missile launcher, a boarding shotgun WuMing here. Everybody else is on the stairs back here, and the Guangxi around the back. Softex on the roof along with the lieutenant. This is a front view of that building, so you can actually see the link team. The link leader's here with a boarding shotgun. Move my camera so the other boarding shotgun across the street, as per the previous photo, we've got the HMG and the Panzerfaust down on the ground here with their Softex, and of course the missile launcher behind. My opponent, reserve trooper, is a Tigbalang. I've played against this list before, so I've encountered it. He's got his Krakot as well, which has rolled up the super jump metachemistry. Looking further around his deployment zone, above the tag he's got his NIS sniper right here with the doctor. In the middle, his lieutenant Fusilier is here, and this is the auxiliary forward observing team. Further towards the center of his deployment zone, you can see that that's where the NIS was, relatively speaking. We've got an engineer back here, a Pathfinder bot, a TR bot with an engineer nearby to help out. Oh, that's the hacker, sorry, the engineer's PAL bot is nearby to help out. Krakot being in the center, of course. The right hand side of his deployment zone, you can see his Bulleteer with an Orcspot team there as well, and his HVT along to the side. If I move my camera, there's the HVT there. So I have pulled out the data scan classified. I don't believe he managed to complete this classified this game, but we'll go into it. I've taken a picture of where my ninja is hidden deployed, and this will be important later. So I've taken this photo explicitly just putting where the ninja is positioned. In fact, if I close down the image, and we'll just go back into it, and here's a look at my side of the table, you can see, can't you? Oh, click the wrong button. Let's click draw. That the car is over here and the ninja is at this spot. So you can see my deployment zone right along here. The ninja has infiltrate behind this car, and the reason why the ninja is there is because this building is going to contain the WuMing. And I've also seen him deploy some pretty heavily on this side as well. So the ninja's there to help me clear out troops that may actually hang out here and walk across after I've actually killed this fire lane with the WuMing, allowing me a chance to actually progress the ninja's position, right? Hopefully that can be understood. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. Just find the image with the ninja. So here it is. I also took a photo of the rule book, so we'll skip part of this because we've talked about that already. I win the dice roll for picking the table side, which has the big buildings, and he chooses first turn. We are playing Annihilation. So be careful with this mission. It is not just about killing enemy troops. It's also about having your troops survive. So it's about the differential. And the classified is very important because it's worth 2 points. It's very easy to have a game in this mission where you get 1 point for killing a certain number of troops, and you get 1 point for having a certain number of troops alive, and your opponent gets the same bracket. And the classified is the decider. So it's actually quite important unless you absolutely stomp your opponent. So with the Krakot moving forward, he doesn't quite move into line of sight of the WuMing with the boarding shotgun, which has a line of sight through here. I put the team down before he deployed his tag, so I'm going to consider this a misdeployment. What he can do now is move out with his tag and get a line. If you guys can see there how I've sort of messed this up, is that there's a part of his base just sticking out, and it can actually just be seen right through here. So the box here wasn't enough to cover him, unfortunately. Right. So as you can see, he's got the tag moved around, an easy line of fire. So the WuMing here is unfortunately being shot at by the tag as it progresses around the cover of this crate. With his HMG, he's able to shoot at me, initially passing the armor save and surviving because the WuMing's got 2 wounds, so hopefully he'll burn a lot of orders trying to remove this guy. Best case scenario I think for me would be for him to go unconscious and for the Softex to repair him or revive him later. Alright, what happens next though is that the tag actually crosses the cover, so the background of this slideshow is a bit blurry, but This is the position of the tag here, as you can see from the photo, if I move the camera out of the way. But he has crossed from this crate here, and he's just gone through to the building over this side. So the WuMing is obviously shooting at long range. Previously it was dodging because he's up against cover and mimetism at long range, but the boarding shotgun is -3 to hit between 16 and 24, not -6. So with the WuMing having an extra dice from the link, +3 ballistic skill from the link, he's a ballistic skill 16, and then it's -3 for long range, -3 for mimetism. So it's 10s against 15s, and on this particular attempt, the WuMing actually shoots back and inflicts a wound with a crit. So I got very lucky there, but after that, the tag shoots me again and destroys this WuMing. But I'm not unhappy with that because I've whittled him down a little bit, and it's taken him several orders to actually pick off this guy. So I'm okay with that. He's taking the first turn. He deserves to get some kills for that. Okay, so here's the final position. The tag actually comes out behind the cover over here. In fact, if I get my imager out of the way, the Krakot you can see there. This model here, this obviously you guys can see it. This guy here is actually prone. This guy does actually get taken out of the picture. We do have a Guangxi control device over here, but it is prone as well. And the tag is actually moving in this direction, just trying to pull around the other side of the building here, right? Okay. So this is where he ends up. He's just coming around the back there as he's removing the WuMing. We've got the HVT for the Jing side hanging out right here. Of course, very early in the game, so nothing really can do to the HVT. So moving on past this again, you can see what's happened. He's come around the other side of the building, and the Krakot has also moved up to where the car is. Also just want to remind you guys that the Ninja is actually hidden deployed there, if you can remember that from the photo. So we've got the tag, we've got the Krakot. I don't normally do this in my bat reps, but I'm just going to zoom out again and just go back to this crucial image of the actual table side. So what's happened in this photo is the Krakot is here, and the tag is here. The WuMing team is lined up in front of that building here, right? And I've got a Ninja in hidden deployment right there. I think this position is going to be quite important later. So back to the action. Right, so we're at this photo here with the Tikkabilang. Next, on the other side of the table, he's moving out with his Bulleteer. Bulleteer can actually go and draw a line through this little alleyway through the middle here, but the WuMing are prone on the building, so nothing's shooting at him. If the Bulleteer was to actually progress around here, he will get shot at by the missile launcher, the Zanying missile launcher, and although the Bulleteer will have enhanced fire, he'd be shooting at long range, so needing 9s to hit against potentially the Zanying hitting him, so it's not the greatest of odds, although he probably still would be more likely to kill the Zanying than the Zanying would be to do damage. Alright, so next up, the Tikkabilang drops a mine. That's why there's the camo token here, which represents a mine. And he's doing this because he's expecting, guys to move out and attack him. Guangxi, obviously this will help him against a Ninja. So if you've got the mines, may as well drop them, right? Next up, this is another important photo. So hopefully the camera's in a good place. Just going to draw again the situation. You've got the Krakot Renegade here. You've got the Tikkabilang right here. There is a mine right in front of him there, right? These red tokens represent suppression fire. So basically you've got a field of suppression fire here from the submachine gun Krakot, and you've got a field of fire right along here from the Tikkabilang. So anything that's advancing through here is going to get shot quite a lot. Also, he's going to deploy a nest further afield on his deployment zone. And I'm just going to get a different color for this. So we're going to say the yellow, let's make it red. So the nest gets line of fire directly along here. Anything through here is going to get a sniper shot as well. And of course, he's got his mine. So the mine's got an area of effect of like a template teardrop along there. So I hope this picture makes sense. He's really sort of defended this little zone very well. He's reduced my link team to 4 members. So what is going to happen? Just want to pause the video here for a second and say to you guys, if you're watching this video and you're trying to analyze the situation, I want you to think about who's in the stronger position here. Is the PanO player in the stronger position, or is the Imperial Service player in the stronger position? you might want to write me a note, a comment in the video description, just telling me how you felt at this stage of the bat rep. Do you feel that PanO is in a strong position? Do you feel that they're in a weak position, and why? Obviously, the rest of the video is going to influence you, but there are dice rolls, and there are decisions being made. So, who do you feel like has the upper hand, and why? I'm very interested to know. We may come back to this particular image soon because it's quite an important one. Alright, so next up, elsewhere in the field, the Bulleteer was part of the same battle group, did receive suppression fire, but it's not really covering anywhere of significance. He's moved up his Orcs team as well. Note that there are no objectives. This is an Annihilation mission, so nothing really, no buttons to press or anything like that. Okay, so it's the first turn for the Imperial Service. I've got all my Guangxi around here, and we're talking earlier about warbands and maps, and I had it said that suppression fire is just the solution to warbands because they come charging around the corner and they just die instantly. What I'm able to do, because I've got 18 orders in this list, I've lost one order from one WuMing going down, I'm able to restrain one or two Guangxi that I want to keep around to defend the back lines for later. But this particular Guangxi, I'm happy to move him around the corner, because it sets off the mine, right? So the Guangxi gets shot at by all of the suppression fire and dies, that's fine, but the mine goes off, so that means that the ninja can actually cross around without dying to the mine, which is really important. In the next image, you can see here that the Guangxi is sort of heading around the corner. This is after they finish their impetuous move. Now, unfortunately for the one in the foreground, there is a line from the Ulan, which comes past the wall, and does get line of sight, not the Ulan, the Tikkabalang, to the Guangxi. So this one does get shot and does get taken out of the picture. But this particular guy here, I believe I hit the restrain button on him to spend an order on him. So I've lost 2 Guangxi to this. And this is living the dream, right? People on the forums saying, hey, look, suppression fire is going to kill warbands hands down. If you let them, I agree. So in this case, yep, I've lost warbands because suppression fire. You've seen it happen. I really quite like this billboard here of this this Imperial Service guy. It's actually very appropriate for this game. Alright, note also that he has his Nis, and this is what we were talking about earlier. So the Nis obviously is happy in this position here. It is standing up, it's not prone, there's a doctor nearby to help him out. The Nis has line of sight of the WuMing team, and I'll just point them out on the photo. Here they are circled here, but they are all prone, right? Now this model that I'm going to point to here with the arrow, that guy there, this guy in the background, that is a Guangxi coming around the corner, and he's just getting hosed by a Nis here, and luckily though the Guangxi does manage to dodge, but he's in a lot of trouble if he keeps on moving. Alright, so Nis is happy to contribute to this firefight here. Next up, let's have a look at where the Ulan is situated. Sorry, not the Ulan, this is yet again the Tikkabalang. Because the background's always going to be a bit blurry, I just want to point out yet again that there is a Guangxi control device over here who could stand up and shoot a smoke grenade, but he will probably get shot at by the Tikkabalang. Tikkabalang would be out of range, I believe, for the suppression fire, but if he does decide to drop it and just shoot a bullet, chances are he'll probably beat the Celestial Guard in a face-to-face roll. Okay, so now is the time to strike if you're a ninja. So let's get out the pen and get a nice green colored pen. So the ninja started here, right? The first short skill is to declare that the ninja is going to move to the position where the silhouette marker is right here. So what do you do if you're the PanO player? You've got a Nis which can see him. The Nis, I mean, if it delays, the ninja might keep on moving. The Krakot, if it discovers, is going to break out a suppression fire. If he holds with everybody, well, the ninja can do whatever it wants. So you may want to tell me what you would do with these 3 models that get arrows, but my opponent makes the decision to hold with the Nis, drop suppression fire with the Krakot and attempt to discover, and hold also with the Tikkabalang. I guess he plays me all the time, so he knows there's a killer hacker ninja, although maybe it's a good idea to sort of just be extra careful and hold just in case it does turn out to be an assault hacker, for example. So that makes things easy. Bear in mind that it doesn't matter how many times you get discovered in the first short skill, anybody that held their order can't shoot at you if you just move with the second short skill. So if you get discovered and you keep moving, that does not allow them to fire flamethrowers and things at you. So the result of this is that the Krakot rolls a 5, successfully discovers the ninja, and the Nis and the Ulan lose their arrows because the ninja keeps on moving. Now I just want to get out my little green pen and just draw this mark on the photo, and that's the line of sight marking of the Ulan's base. So if I was to actually delete that and carefully draw a circle around where the Ulan's, I keep calling it Ulan's, the Tikabulang's base, and then I'll get the red and just show where the front marking of his base is, so that's actually where he's facing. If we go back to another color now, let's get some white out. The ninja has 4 inches of movement left, so we can actually move around to this spot here. And note that after he's done that, the Tikabulung has not had a chance to move out of the way, and the ninja is now behind his line of sight facing. That's really, really important. Because, as you can see here, this little black mark is this line of sight marking, and the ninja can now move into close combat without getting hit by the flamethrower. Really, really big deal. So the ninja moves in, strikes him with his sword, and starts blinking his armor. Tikabulung passes both armor saves against the double action close combat weapon. He's already taken 1 wound, but it's going to take some crits and some really real whacking to get through with the ninja. But more importantly, the Krakot has dropped suppression fire, so he's only got 1 burst now, and the Tikabulung cannot use suppression fire anymore. So what happens next? Going to the next image here, the WuMing lines up a shot. So this WuMing has stood up, and it's the only member of the team to stand up. The Nis, who's over here, stands up, and as you can guess, the deployment zones are 24 inches apart. The models are very close to that. So this distance here is going to be between the 16 and 32 range. So we've lost a member of the Link team. The WuMing start at Ballistical 13. No bonuses for that. +3 for range, -3 for cover, minus another 3 for mimetism. So I'm needing 10s to hit against the Nis needing 13, because it's just +3 range, -3 for cover. So he needs a 13, which is higher than 10s, but I've got 5 dice for the HMG and the Link team. He's got 1. So unsurprisingly, the WuMing win that roll-off. Bear in mind that even if he does roll, say, an 11 or a 12, or even a crit, there's a good chance that the WuMing will either pass one of the armor saves at least and be able to shoot again, or if he takes both hits, because it's the reactive turn single burst from the double action, the soft protector is right there waiting for that to happen to revive him, to press the button on the heal. Can't remember if he has a Q, but at least the soft protector's got pretty good willpower. So the odds of actually nailing this guy are really good. What about the Krakot, I hear you say? Well, the Krakot has an SMG and is not in suppression fire, so the first short skill, I chose to just ignore the Krakot. Krakot fires, he's at long range, he's up against cover, he needs like a 5 to hit and misses. Even if he does hit, the WuMing has got +7 armor against that shot, right? So, not a big deal. And then the very next order, the WuMing just clear up the Krakot immediately. So, as it turned out, this overall scenario wasn't that hard to deal with. We got rid of the mine with the Guangxi, easy as that. We moved the ninja into close combat with the Tikabulung, that's no problem anymore. And then the WuMing, it's not too hard to actually kill a Nis and a Krakot with a heavy infantry machine gun in a Link. So now, these guys are just moving down the stairs, right? So they're coming down, they're getting rid of this Krakot, as you can see here. This Sanying is now free to actually move out from around the other side of the building. And they're just basically clumping up in coherency. Now they move down from the building. I've got plenty orders in Group 1 here, and because he doesn't have any AROs watching the table anymore, they can just move across the street towards the Tikabulung. And here they are here. I posted this picture on the forums, and a lot of people assumed that the WuMing were actually shooting the Tikabulung, but shooting the Tikabulung is not the most reliable way to kill it. In this instance, they just move into close combat, and the first order, he can obviously attack back, but he doesn't have a double action close combat weapon, so he can only inflict 1 wound at a time. And they're, if only 2 of them move in, well, close combat 16 rolling 3 dice, because there's 2 of them plus the ninja. So after they've done 1 round of combat, the ninja then attacks, and it's just lights out. The Tikabulung is dead straight away. I mean, the ninja's inflicting like 2 crits and 5 armor saves or something crazy like that. So with the Tikabulung absolutely annihilated, the ninja goes back into TO camo mode, marker state, and the WuMing now move around behind the building, and the HMG is taking some pot shots at his TR bot. because with ballistic skill 13 and an extra dice against ballistic skill 11 with 4 dice, the odds are favorable for the WuMing, and even if he loses the shootout, he's got 2 wounds to work with. So that that happens, and the TR bot is destroyed. I'll just draw a quick note as to how this works. So I'm basically pulling around the corner, slicing pie around the corner. Not that the pie needs to be sliced, but the TR remote is here, circled there. So the shot just comes across the alleyway there and ruins him. Although he does have an engineer nearby to revive him. Also, the ninja is pulled back to where he started behind the car, just to put him somewhere centrally in the table. Alright, so there's the TR bot taking a wound and moving on. So it's my opponent's second turn, and he's now moving out again with the bulleteer after reapplying the enhanced fire. So he's able to get into a good position. Here he is here. So down the street, there's the position of the bulleteer, easily able to shoot at this this Guangxi, who earlier dodged the NIS bullet, but he's not able to dodge the hail of fire coming from the bulleteer. So now the bulleteer gets into a much better position here, where he's in the center of the table and can shoot just along here and slice the pie onto this guy who's an unfortunate boarding shotgun, and then we've got the Zhanying with the missile, and even if he wanted to, he could probably reveal and kill this ninja. Now this takes a number of orders, and my opponent doesn't have like all the orders in the world, bear in mind. Shooting at the boarding shotgun, he gets rid of him, eventually kills him. Then it focuses against the Zhanying, and the Zhanying is forced to pass 3 armor saves in this volley, and luckily for the Zhanying, passes all of them. Did you know that if you apply enhanced fire to a robot, it gets shock ammunition, but bioimmunity allows you to use your BTS value against shock ammunition? So with armor 3 plus 3 from the cover, I'm getting plus 6 to my rolls, and what's that? Anything like a 9 or above passes. So luckily I rolled 3 9 pluses, which was fortunate, and the Zhanying is able to actually duck back behind cover and go prone, failing the guts check voluntarily. So that was cool, got a little bit lucky there. But unfortunately, the boarding shotgun member's dead. I've still got the Panzerfaust guy and the HMG and the Zhanying though. So here's the final position with the Zhanying ducking back after surviving the onslaught of fire from the bulleteer. Next, Doctor moves over to try and revive the NIS, and as the Doctor does this, has to stand up because didn't get enough movement. My opponent deliberately spaced them out a little bit because he didn't want to get a situation where the NIS gets hit by a missile and the template clips the Doctor. Unfortunately, having run out of orders, it means in my turn I should be able to actually fire at the Doctor and actually nail them both, which is hilarious. But Doctor successfully reviving the NIS, which doesn't happen every day in PanO because their willpower is not wonderful. Elsewhere, the PAL bot is moving up the stairs to revive the TR bot, but unfortunately it's not as good a day for engineering as it is for doctoring, and unfortunately causes even more damage than he bargained for. My opponent has run out of coordinated orders now, command tokens I should say, because he's spent too many coordinated orders, and he's moved guys from group 2 to group 1, so he's just clean out of command tokens at this point. Alright, so now the NIS is able to move ever so carefully along here to actually fire his gun at the WuMing. And as far as I recall, in the first version of this photo, I think before I took the picture, the HMG was closer to the corner, so if my recollection of this game serves me correctly, he fired at the HMG, who passed an armor save and pulled back and dodged back. And then I think he did attack the Panzerfaust at some point, but I can't quite remember. Either way, I do recall ending this turn with 2 models, so he must have destroyed this guy here with the Panzerfaust as well, so we're going to rub him out. I'm sure the further photos will remind me and jog my memory. Okay, so coming to Imperial Service turn 2 now. The bulleteers in suppression fire, and this unfortunate Guangxi moving out, and again, the prediction has proved true. Suppression fire does kill warbands. Not that I ever disputed that, but I just want to say at this point in the game that, like, who do you feel is ahead now? I mean, it's pretty clear that Imperial Service is actually taking the lead in this game. And the thing about warbands is that it's okay to lose them because you're starting the game with 18 orders. and the warbands allowed that, and you're not going to lose all 8 of your warbands at the same time. Second thing I want to say is that in my last battle report I used the warbands on a link team. I haven't done that this game. I've used the WuMing as a solid link team for the whole thing, so I've had 8 free range guys. Also, I cleared out a mine with a crucial Guangxi, and I'm at this point in the game and I still have like half of them left alive. Alright, so now, with the HMG still alive, and I think the NIS still back up there, the HMG is able to come around and actually dish out some pain. So the HMG moving around is enough to clear up whatever was up on top of this building. I can't remember whether it was the doctor he left up there or the NIS itself, but the NIS model is the old style model, and it's very hard to see the actual physical model itself, so I can't quite remember this part of the game. All I remember is that the WuMing managed to destroy whatever he set out to do there. Now, so we have a ninja. The ninja appears, and because this bulleteer houses a repeater, I'm easily able to use Trinity on the enemy hacker and eliminate him. That frees me up to now try to attempt to get my data scan classified. I will let you know that I actually physically failed 7 willpower checks in a row trying to get the willpower check of 10 or less. It's 13 minus 3 for the data scan. When I finally passed it, my opponent said, "Oh, I passed my reset as well, so I've won the face-to-face roll, so you don't get your classified." Didn't realize that. So what I had to do now is move the ninja into close combat and kill the bulleteer, which I should have done first, and then pass the classified, which he still couldn't do. So I basically wasted my entire turn 2, achieving very little here with Group 2's orders. In fact, it was a single combined group because I moved my command tokens to merge them. He'd actually killed quite a lot of guys, and I had to create a single group of something like 9 models. Alright, so now this is the PanO final turn here. He's moved around with his lieutenant, actually trying to fire his combi rifle at my WuMing, but doesn't succeed in getting anything done with the combi rifle. And then because this Panzerfaust guy is dead, no arrows from that. The HMG retreats, taking a wound there. Next, what he's going to try and do is pull in with his Orc Spot. So you can see here, if we get out the pen again, that his Orc Spot is able to creep across here, and he's controlled by this fellow over here. But the living HMG still has a line of fire around this angle. So what he's going to try and do is move the Orc Spot around here and actually get some flamethrowing happening. And it's going to mean that I'm going to have to basically dodge. However, the ninja conveniently is placed there and is able to fire his bow across this line, if you can see that. So ninja over here, and at least I have a long-range bow shot to flick off at -6. So let's see how that goes. Moving through with the Orc Spot, the ninja misses, and the flamethrower template comes down here. Luckily though, the HMG manages to dodge with a crit, in fact, no less, and the missile launcher also dodges and pulls back behind cover, thank God. Unfortunately, this guy on the ground can't dodge because he's unconscious and gets burned to a crisp. Because this HMG does a crit dodge, the Auxilia with the combi rifle following up on him doesn't get any damage done either. But continuing things here, he's able to actually press the attack. So let's go back to drawing. The ninja is over here. I'm trying to shoot through, getting nothing done. But now the combi rifle just continues following up on the HMG, and the flamethrower, of course, taking out this area here, does eventually manage to knock this guy out, as far as I can recall anyway. So that's how that ended up. Note that in this picture you can sort of see that he's got his auxiliary guy further around here. The ninja's fine, does manage to dodge to safety, which is important because I need that data scan, and his bulleteer has been destroyed in close combat. Note that that electric pulse is pretty effective against ninjas, but even though the ninja does not get to add +3 from martial arts, he still gets +3 from his close combat stat, so it's not actually a matter of rolling above a 7. A 4 would be a draw, and a 5+ is actually a hit. So do bear that in mind, guys. The electric pulse rules say nothing about close combat stats above 20. Alright, so with his Auxilia hanging out here, I just want to remind you that the HVT for Jing is there, and so long as he's sort of within range of 8 inches, he's going to be able to pick up his classified, which might allow him to achieve a draw. So we're going to have to do something about that in the final turn. Luckily I do have the last turn. So the ninja is just moving along past the bulleteer. It takes me like 2 or 3 more attempts, but he finally manages to pick up the data scan, so that's the classified done. But then going back into TO state, moving around the side of the battlefield, note that his HVT is on the corner here, and for him to succeed in actually controlling my HVT at the end, he needs to have no enemy models contesting his own HVT. Now I'm not too sure whether marker state counts for contesting, but just cause I just walked in there and swiped him in the face with the katana anyway, and that concludes the game. So all in all, I think it was a margin of 3 points. It was like a 6-3 win or something like that. In terms of the brackets, we're playing middle tier Annihilation, so I think I had like 140 points worth of stuff left. He had around about 50 or 60 points left. So I did manage to get one more objective point than he got from that, but then I got 2 points for the classified while he didn't. So interesting game, but interested in your thoughts as well. Do you like seeing this kind of table used? Would you prefer me to play on tables that are even, less terrain, bigger fire lanes? Did you think that position that he set up with the Tikbalang and the Krakot and the Nis was sufficient to stop me from steamrolling him? Did I just get lucky? I'll tell you what I think of that situation. If I had been him, I would have actually planted a couple of mines with the Tikbalang and then just moved back. I would have moved a long way back, closer to the deployment zone, somewhere where it's not that easy to reach with infiltrating ninja. And what you achieve by doing that is you're up on points from killing one WuMing, and your opponent has to spend more orders coming across the table to get to you, and if they do that, they leave their model stranded, whereas in your first turn, if you move your models up and leave your guys stranded, your opponent doesn't have to spend as many orders just attacking them and crushing them. So that theory holds true, but for some reason Infinity players don't seem to take that on board, at least not some of the players that I play in my meta. People are still stuck in this idea of, I've got to get something done on my turn. I've got to move my guys out and set up, defensive positions. But all that does is it makes it easier for their stuff to die. It requires less effort from their opponent to kill those troops. Hopefully you guys can see what I mean. But anyway, enjoyed watching this one. Enjoyed bringing it to you, and see you again soon.